Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
Welcome to the Ballology app Ultimate Demo. Trusted by leaders in the game. Ballology is a player development platform built for coaches and players alike. You can expect live shot tracking, workout libraries, and AI insights. You can easily chart team shooting drills in practice or in training sessions. Track all of those shots using an iPhone or an Android device in real time. You can view your team's performance through a video archive or by using our shot charts. After every shooting workout, take a look at your breakdown by viewing your percentages and your shot locations. Let's take a deeper look to learn how to make the most out of the Ballology app. Let's see how you measure up in the Ballology Skills Assessment, where you can test your shooting skills versus other shooters worldwide. Navigate to Ballology AI, where you can ask any question to get answers in real time for smarter training.
Make that footwork a little more sharp.
Coaches or players can create custom workouts in just minutes. Hit your on-court skills or basketball IQ or even strength and conditioning. It can be done on the Ballology app. Compete with everything you do on the Ballology app through our workout leaderboards. Elevate your game with the Ballology app. Download it for free today.
Coach, great job of moving us right into our first question. It's like you're a pro already at this. You talked about what the day-to-day stuff is like, and even though you guys do need to be courageous with taking that next step of maybe getting plugged in with TABC, or maybe in the spring putting your name out there for some jobs, even if you feel like you might not be ready. Going through those experiences are really important. But going back to daily, with all the things that you have going on in your life, I would imagine the assistant AD role, the AD role, you're probably involved with way more things than when you were just coaching one sport, but then you still have your TABC responsibilities. What daily habits set you up for success?
Well, I would say the very first thing that every single day, we read a book as a family called Habits of the Household by Justin Early. And the first thing that I really try to do is when I wake up, I don't want to pick my phone up. I want to start my day in prayer. I have, I have my Bible on my nightstand next to me, just trying to start the day with the correct perspective. And I would say that sets the day up for the correct framework for how I'm going to deal with the people that I interact with, the decisions that I have to make as a person, as a father, as a husband, as an athletic director. And I would say that's one of the most important thing. I think it is the most important thing, that habit that's developed. And then, you progressively then kind of go into some personal habits of making sure you're eating, you're drinking right. I'm in the middle, and this is just something I'm going through, but reevaluating the type of food I'm eating, the type of things I'm drinking. And because all of those things contribute to the emotional capacity I have to give to people. You can't do things to the most efficient way if you're agitated, because you're kind of hungry or thirsty for certain things that you've developed a habit and have leaned on. So those are things that I would say I'm really focusing on, limiting my, I know this is such a modern day, sounds silly, but my reels, my wasted time on my phone, those are just little habits that I'm working on. And I'm using something, and this is not a plug for it, but it's been good for me. There's an app called the Strides app. And I've been using that for probably about 45 days now. And that app allows you, it's a monthly charge, but that app allows you to type a little personal message to yourself. I a lot of times will put a scripture verse that pertains to the exact habit that I'm really trying to work to develop. So it's an encouragement. So it'll pop up at different times if I struggle with certain, being dependent on doing certain things, that I know kind of those times of day that I struggle with that. And those little strides. Yeah. All that being said, those are just some habits that I developed. But I think the first things first is starting off the day, focus on my faith, and then ending my family. I've got a daughter that's a freshman, son, 7th grade, daughter, 5th grade, son, 3rd grade. And we try to every day end with a family devotion or reading time. And I think when I was a young parent, I wasn't sure how well that would be received as they got older. You think of reading children's books, but we oftentimes read Max Lucado books because they're palatable, they're easy for it's applicable to the kids. And so those are just things that really shape who I am on my day to day in my interactions with people. Those are habits that we have as a family in our home that really help.
Coach, thank you for sharing those. I love getting to learn about the daily routines of different people. And it's amazing how some people have the same habits and some similarities, but then something new that I've never heard of can pop up, like the Strides app. And I think you nailed a couple really good things. And one is how you start your day, grabbing your phone, scrolling through, checking emails, seeing texts that came through at night. I don't know if that's the best way to do it. And I believe this morning that's what I did. I think that's how I started my day. But an aspiration of mine is to start in the word, start in prayer. But for those that don't have a faith background, I think gratitude is just another good way to start. I don't know what the quote is, and I might be butchering it, but it's hard to have a bad attitude like when you're in gratitude, when you're thinking that way, and that may be the wrong order there, but it makes a lot of sense. If I'm throwing things at my mind or my eyes right off the bat that might have some stress behind it, that may bring some worry. Well, it's probably putting me down that path for the rest of the day. But if I start with in prayer, if I start in the word, something that builds me up, start with gratitude, it's like almost a direction shift for me. And then I think you're right on the money with the food. I want to ask if you don't mind sharing what is kind of the plan right now. What are you staying away from? Because I've tried a lot of weird diets over the years.
Yeah, and you know how it is. Like I think a lot of times as a coach, I stress ate. Oh man, I'm getting the Dr. Pepper every day, and I love Dr. Pepper. Anybody that knows me will die laughing when they see this, but I love it. But just giving that up, and what I really wanted to do was I knew that it had a negative. I was tired. I would get agitated as my day went. You're dealing in public education, private education, when you're dealing with other people, it withdraws from you. Like you're having constant, I always kind of equated it, but things have changed. You're kind of a charging port for a lot of people throughout their day, and they're going to come and they're going to try to recharge
Yep.
off of you throughout the day. Well, I have to be equipped to be able to handle that and to be able to give my best to everybody. And you're not going to be perfect, but just trying to eliminate. I'm not someone that can go just start eating all beans and rice or whatever the just some off the wall diet. It's just trying to be aware, give up the things that are easy to give up, the sugary stuff, the candy, have it in moderation when it is presented. But I feel completely different. I'm 45 days into it and I feel completely different. And also it's just that ability to know I'm in control of
Yeah.
what I'm doing. And to an extent, I understand the Lord's in control of everything, but I have the ability to be disciplined.
You're the one putting that stuff in your
Exactly, exactly. But we all do it, and we all have different things that we do that we reach for when we get that distress. But as you mentioned, you don't want to start the day with something that's distressful. That's not the correct mindset. Allow yourself to get up. We've all seen the video of the guy, make your bed, wake up,
Yeah.
make your bed, accomplish a task before you get on your emails and you start knocking out all your daily tasks. Like, allow yourself to get up and have some positive momentum and to get your mind in the right direction and heart.
I think so often we do think about making sure that our tank is full because we have to give so much to so many people. We can't, as a coach, you can't show up empty. You got to show up full and you got to be there give your very, very best. So I think a lot of coaches like myself are focused on what we're doing with our mind. What are we reading? Are we doing like a luminosity app that is like brain games to I've tried to do those daily. But inflammation is something that I don't think we talk about very much, or sometimes not even aware of. We feel achy, we feel tired, we feel brain fog, and so much of that has to do with what we're putting in our mouth. Not just, and I think you nailed it with the Dr. Pepper. The amount of calories, I think I've been guilty of drinking. And so one of these health influencers just made a comment of like, don't drink your calories. Like, so if it's even a diet, like people get upset about the sweeteners and stuff. And Coach, I could go down all these rabbit holes because I am kind of passionate about a lot of these things, but the sweeteners and stuff, if you're going to choose between sugar and artificial sweetener 100% of the time. Now, water's better than both, but be careful of the calories that we're taking in through what we drink, but then also the foods that we eat. And I think you got to experiment with different types of diets. So tried vegan for 4 months, did lose some weight, felt horrible on it. Like
Not
didn't
sustainable.
feel good. I just felt sick, but I was losing weight. And then I've tried go low carb before, but that I'm like, I don't know about you. If I have a little bit of rice, I eat a ton of rice. If I have a little bit of sugar, I eat the whole thing. And so one of the things that has worked for me is more of the keto diet, or even the extreme is the carnivore. You got to get past some ideas or myths out there like the cholesterol ideas and things, but whatever works for you to get that inflammation down, to lessen the brain fog so that you feel good.
That's right.
And I wonder how many people are walking around feeling bad. And I say that because, man, I'm probably my heaviest right now that I've been in a long time. So I'm back on one of those, trying to do a little bit of the keto thing. 3 days in, I feel better than I did for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
But then consistency, like you said, 45 days, and man, I don't think people realize how hard that is to maintain something that long.
Yeah. And it is. And as I said, I'm not doing this. Like, my primary motivation is to be at my best for my family, and then for my job. And, my secondary motivation is obviously I have physical goals that I want for myself, and those things take care of themselves. But again, the primary focus was I don't want to feel this way. So
Mhm.
I just began that journey, and I'm kind of one of those people that when I decide something, I just do it, but
Yeah.
it might take me a while to land on it to get to that point. But
My wife laughs at me all the time. I'm always on a plan, but I'm always changing what it is. The good thing is, like, I rarely go just a long time without no workouts or anything, or just eating poorly for a long time, but I rarely stick with something. So like right now it's more of an animal-based diet, high fat, high protein, cutting out I still drink some type of caffeine, but trying to even cut out coffee because that messes with my stomach. And then working out 6 days a week, kind of a push-pull deal. I'd like to stick with this for 45 days and see what that feels like. But another thing you said is the time on the phone. I'd be terrified to see the amount of time. And I think there's apps that can do that, can actually record like how long you're on social media, how many times you're opening things up. I can't imagine what I could accomplish if that time waster wasn't there.
yeah, and I get the iPhone update every week that, you spent this many hours, this many minutes on screen time. And, inevitably we're working from our phones. So that's not all wasted time. I've often not dug into it. I'm sure I could find the answer to this, but often considered, like, is it counting every time I have to check my alarm or whatever? But all of that being said, my main focus was I don't want to lose. Our days are so condensed. We have all this time, but the time that's valuable when you are at work, you want to make sure you're giving your best to it, and then when you're at home, you want to give it your best to it. And I just don't want to lose as much as I can control. Now, again, you don't have to cut everything out, and that's not necessarily what I'm doing, but it had just gotten a little too much for me. That became a goal that I set, and ultimately, one thing that I found was, I have the Bible app on my phone, and I noticed that I would struggle reading my Bible. I would, and it could be a book for someone else if they're not a faith-based person. But I've noticed that I was diverting a lot of my time, and now I've got like a great streak going on my Bible app, or, I'm spending a lot of time on that now. And now I'm not just giving in and uh, eating something I want and then moving on to the next thing. I'm taking time, spending time in the Word. So, it's a give and take.
I was listening to one of those kind of personal coaches on YouTube, and he had some really cool daily habits, and he had just done a 90-day challenge in fitness. And so I was really interested about the plan that he was doing. And that's one thing I was thinking about when we're talking about nutrition and working out or being careful we're putting in our mouth. It's not because we're looking to get into a bodybuilding show. Like, I think that's kind of what you're saying is this isn't just to be shredded or anything like that at our age. It's to be able to perform really well and to feel good. And so, but going back, he said, here's a test. The next time that you go to, let's say, a Chipotle, when you're standing in line, can you keep your phone in your pocket? Like, can you just stand there in silence without headphones, without your phone? And I thought about that. I don't know the last time that I've done that. I think as soon as I get somewhere and I'm in a line, that's out. And he said the goal would be to try to maximize the time throughout a day where you can have zero noise, zero information flying at you. Even in the car, I just don't do hardly anything without some type of podcasts are good, videos are good to listen to. But how often do I have silence? But I think that's maybe a good goal for all of us is to see how often throughout the day we can go without something flying at us.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's a great point. And it's rare in this day and time. I think one thing I did struggle with as a coach was protecting my personal time. And I would, because the coaching is such a still what I do is such a fluid thing. You're dealing with kids all the way up until 9, 10 o'clock some nights, many nights when you're on a game night. And one thing I've done better as an athletic director, even though I'm dealing with more people now, is protecting that personal time, putting the phone on my nightstand and going and having dinner and not just setting it out. And, you're clearly sending a message to the people you're with. And, but I can do better. I can do better on that.
I think it's a good idea too to try to get a lot of these things done in the morning. Maybe you wake up an hour earlier, get up to make sure that your personal growth, being in the Word, something to read, maybe you're walking on a treadmill or outside, maybe you're doing some stretching, maybe you're getting your workout done, but get those things done early in the morning before the rest of your day, before those curveballs come and inevitably steal time away. Because if you have your plan of, I'm going to have these 30 minutes at about 11 o'clock where I'm going to open my Bible, what are the odds that those 30 minutes are there? And they're probably not going to be. And to your point, I think we need to be fluid. And I think we need to have the flexibility throughout our day to handle the things that inevitably come, but not sacrificing our personal growth or that personal time. And that's separate even from getting home and being with your family. But I think that's something that I just always have to remember.
That's a good point. And because early in the morning is your most protected time, in my opinion. That's for me. And so you nailed it with that. You get a lot of things done. That's why it's the quietest. Everybody is still kind of waking up, going about their normal morning routine. So no, that's a good point.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.